Well, good afternoon, good evening, good day, wherever you are, whatever time it is in the world. As you can see, it's myself and my three co-hosts, Mark, we've got Imran, and we've got Jeffrey. How are you guys doing?
All good.
Doing good.
Ready.
Except for some technical issues for Jeffrey with his microphone. So if he sounds a little tinny today, it's just because it's nothing to do with the mushroom tea. It's more to do with the microphone being a silly so-and-so today and not working the way we expected it to. So anyway, guys, it seems like only yesterday we were all talking the last time. It seems to fly by with what's happening with you guys. I know, Imran, you've literally just released two courses. Your SEO one, your CSS one, sorry, I should say, and your Elementor one. Jeffrey, how is your course going?
It's going really well. Yeah, it's people are having fun right now. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, is the stress of the launching kind of thing and the sort of whole work process starting to calm down a little bit now, or are you still in that sort of state of?
I'm in recovery mode for sure. It's I'm sure Imran could
It,
relate.
it
Are you there too, Imran?
no, no, it is the most stressful period. Like when you're creating, you feel the pressure. Then when you get to the launch day, you're double checking everything. You're going through, does the transaction go through? Do the emails go out? What happens if I try to go through and I've not purchased it? Have I got the security done? And then at that point you go live, you just start panicking a bit. And when you see people purchase it, you're waiting for the odd email to come back to go, it's not worked. Luckily though, everything's going all right so far. But it is, I think some people don't realize when they see us launch courses, they might think, oh, it's pretty simple, easy. Man, it is stressful.
It is
Because
stressful.
It's full on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's full on. Like it's like you have to live your life around it. Like everything just evolves around it. But this time though, this is my fourth course, and this time it was a lot different. I made a decision to have fun with it and to not like let it get to me. Like I just wanted to have fun. And this time, to be honest, it was fun. It was a whole lot of work, but it was a blast as well.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the other side of that at the moment. I'm literally wrapping up some technical things to do with ACF bidirectional fields and stuff like that, relationship fields today. I'm finishing up some template things, and now I just got to sort of fine tune and tweak the designs to make it something I'm happy with. And then I've got that course then to make, and I've also opened myself up to another course to make that one as well. But thankfully, they're not as big a courses as you guys have been doing. They're more sort of mini courses, a couple of hours as opposed to many many hours. So I feel your pain, and like I say, you're on the other side of it. I'm at the beginning of it this time.
Yeah, I
Go
just
on,
want
Well,
to
I'm
Imran.
add
about
though,
to
the
start again.
CS...
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, I was going to say
Yeah.
the
No.
CSS course I just released, I made sure that it was more me sharing code and guidance and tips without me having to do videos. And I'll tell you what, the difference it makes when you don't have to record and edit and then get everything to fit and then realize you forgot to do something, so you got to re-record. Oh man, that was a blessing. So I might stick to doing written only courses in future.
Did the question is right? Did you use AI in that at any point to handle any of the
No,
writing side of things? You did it all
no,
manually.
no. No, no, because the only time I used AI was when I was trying to write some code because I wanted to do something really funky. That's the only time when I got it to refine or simplify what I had because I felt it was too complex. But I find that, look, in the early days when AI was there, a lot of us, I'm sure, were using it for social media posts. But very quickly, I started to feel like that's not me. It's either too formal, too rigid, or it loses that human touch of how I would present or describe something. So, yeah, it's all just out of my head. Which is why you're going to find lots of typos. People have pointed out the odd typo already. Oh, Imran, you've said this wrong. I went, oh crap, I better change it.
As long as the typo's not in the code, you can live with it. It's where the typo's in the code and people are there going like, "This doesn't work." And it's like,
Yeah.
worked for me. It's like, ah. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I've done the opposite. I've gone from the written sort of side of things into the video side of things. I don't think I could go back to written. I'd rather use AI to transcribe my content and then actually use that to summarize my video, so it's kind of in my words, in my structure, as opposed to just being totally AI. So it gives me that sort of speed of flexibility to kind of use that in a positive way, but still be in me, if that makes sense.
No, I
Doesn't
do, I
it?
do.
Doesn't
And
it
I
still
just
blow
want
your?
to, yeah.
I was gonna say, does it still blow your guys' mind when you could throw AI a whole bunch of data and you're like, analyze this, and then within seconds it does it? I'm like, how the hell does it do it? Like, I still don't understand how it works.
Yeah, so so I was gonna say, I still support a lot of like health companies in the UK. So they sometimes hire me for consultation, and I just take all of their data, throw it in, and go, right, just summarize it for me, and I just and then I add my own spin onto it. But oh god, I think the thing I love is when you can import a massive Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah.
And without you telling it anything more, it goes through like 20 columns and thousands of rows, and it just,
I know.
oh, it's beautiful.
There's very few things that blow my mind. That one still does every time I do it. I'm like, how the hell does it do it?
Yeah, it is cool. Like, excuse me, if you've got like transcribing something like this, you know, or you have a meeting like a Zoom call or something, and then you actually get that using the AI to summarize and highlight those key points and things. It's like, that's just saved me making any kind of notes or minutes or anything like that. And it's probably just caught things that I probably would have just overlooked because they're quite glossed over during a conversation. So there's so many things, like you say, that, you know, I think this is where AI is starting to mature, and we're starting to see where it makes sense in our lives and our businesses and those kinds of things. Whereas at the beginning, when ChatGPT came out and then you got Claude and things, it's just trying to get it to do everything. And then what exactly is the strength of this, the benefit of it, and everything, like you say, sounds the same, and you lose your character and all those kinds of things. But I think it's starting to mature now, and we're starting to see real use cases for it. Like I say, for me, it makes my life a lot easier every single day using MacWhisper to deal with, you know, sort of like my subtitles and all that kind of stuff, so I don't have to do any of that. It's just awesome from that point of view.
Well, what I do, and it's a major time saver, is whenever Jeffrey releases a video, I just get the transcription, stick it into AI and go, is this worth me watching? And usually it says yeah, so yeah.
Depends whose video it is, I suppose.
Sometimes. Have you guys used it for decision-making processes yet? Like, you got a decision, you know, most of us are like in rooms alone. We don't have somebody to bounce the ideas off of. Have you used like that voice one like on the phone
Oh, all the
and
time.
go through the whole decision-making process? Yeah.
Oh, all the time. My son sits there laughing at me because sometimes I'm watching TV and I'll be talking to it through questions and stuff like that, and he finds it quite hilarious. My wife actually thought I was talking to someone in the bathroom the other day as well. She went, "Who was that?" I went, "I don't know. I think her name's Ember or Everly or something. I don't know."
Yeah, my girlfriend gets mad. She thinks I listen to ChatGPT more than I do her.
Yeah, well,
And she's probably right.
Yeah, but that's because we can. But that's because we can switch off ChatGPT. So there's a big difference.
She was like, "Yeah, if ChatGPT told you to do it, you would."
Yeah.
Yeah, because let's be honest, the mute button doesn't work, does it? Anyway, let's
Going to get me in trouble, man. I'm getting myself in trouble, really.
So the most important question right now, Jeffrey, is where exactly are you? Because that's not your home studio.
I'm in Los Angeles, so I'm out here visiting family. You know, I live in Thailand, so I try to come out here at least 2 times a year and spend some good quality time with parents, sisters. You know, got some nephews and stuff like that. So that's where I'm at now.
Ah, nice change of scenery as well.
Yeah, yeah. Next week I'll be in the desert in Sedona. So this is where I'm at every year for the holidays. I make sure that was the one thing when I moved out to Thailand. I had to make sure I'm here for the holidays. I'm here for all the important things.
Ah, sweet. Nice, because you can keep in, you know, sort of do that kind of thing. You're in a position where, you know, being your own boss, doing your own kind of thing, you can have that flexibility to be able to take that time out and do things like that.
Yeah, it's definitely a blessing. You know, when I first moved out, I started from scratch. Like I moved to Thailand with $600 to my name. That was it in a backpack. And so I had to like really grind, but this is one of the things that really pushed me to work hard and make sure that, you know, I had that kind of freedom.
Yeah, and now it's
This
turned that
makes-
six.
It's why I love to teach it.
He's turned that 600
This
into
makes
6 million.
Yeah. This makes me feel really, really guilty because I live 10 minutes from my mum and dad, just 10 minutes away, and I see them twice a year.
You don't leave the house there. You literally don't leave the house.
But But if I leave,
but
I'll have emails. I'll have too much. My inbox will explode. I have to keep on top of the inbox.
You need to ask ChatGPT if you can go out. Dear ChatGPT,
No.
am I allowed out? No, you've been a naughty boy. Back to work.
10 more videos today.
Yeah. We need more. Feed the algorithm. Feed us. Feed us.
We're hungry.
Feed the AI brain. Anyway, so I know Mark wanted to have a chat about a particular topic today, so we'll try to have a little bit of sensibility through the stream, but it can't be guaranteed how long it'll last. But Mark, I think your topic that you want to sort of discuss is SEO and how the traditional kind of way is dead, or how SEO companies in general are kind of scamming people. Would I be right in saying that?
I say life support because you can't say dead because everyone's been saying dead since like 1990s. But yeah, so Friday over on my channel, I'm going to be having a live stream with a gentleman who's also an agency owner. And we're going to just be talking about how our clients are viewing SEO. And honestly, it's finally coming to a point now where our clients are listening to me. For years, I've been telling them, do not hire an SEO firm. And they do a lot of outdated practices. Like, no joke, I had a client and I told them, what is this SEO company doing for you? And guess what they were doing? They were still doing location pages like in the footer. They were dropping his website in a lot of different directories. And I'm like, what are you doing? Oh my God, what's that? I got distracted.
Sorry. Mark reckons that Imran's actually in a corner of my studio at the moment. He's actually in the corner over there. Sorry.
But no, I just think it's. I just wanted to get different perspectives. If your clients or if people are finally firing these SEO firms that they've been hiring, $500 a month, $5,000 a month, like. I'm just kind of want to know where everybody's head's at because it's a big topic and a lot of these companies are still doing like outdated practices,
So for a while, I've actually been downplaying SEO with some of my clients now. And I tell them, look, you got to have an SEO tool. You got to make sure you got some keywords in, do some of the basics. But I am getting them to focus more on marketing. So not just, bits of social media, getting your name out there, joining forums and stuff like that. Because I'm now getting them to just realize that just relying on SEO plugins ain't good, but also trying to get them to understand that there's no magic formula. You're not going to hit page one straight away. It does take time. But also advising them that every time you get an email, because you will get flooded with emails from companies saying, we can do this, or we looked into your website or whatever like that, just don't fall for it. And it's more about the engagement you put out there. So don't rely. What I'm trying to get them to understand is don't rely on me or a third party to help you, because they're just a middleman in a way. Whereas you need to be the one out there. So if you're a landscaper, you need to do the promotion so that when someone contacts, they're likely to speak to you without having to go through levels before they get to the main person. So I compared to what I used to think about SEO 3 or 4 years ago, I just feel like the landscape's changed so much now. You know? I mean, you could be someone. Yeah, sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say, we used to recommend to clients just up until like this past year, okay, we'll create you a website, but you have to create a blog. You have to blog it all the time. You have to put your keywords in there. That's gone. Like, blogging is just as dead as SEO. Like, we did a whole live stream on it. The traditional blogging, it's been taken over by AI crap. So unless you can throw in like personalized stuff, I say like videos, podcasts, anything that isn't just written content. Because think about it, anybody could just go to a ChatGPT, say, hey, write me a blog article on this, and guess what? Now you have millions of people doing this crap. So that's why the traditional way of blogging is also, in our opinion, dead as well.
Or you could just get to create a CSS course for you as well.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, that's what it's going toward for sure. Yeah. We might be able to say create another WordPress version and then just do everything,
Yeah. We'd have to quote something else on pressed word.
Oh yeah.
When you look at a lot of the people now who are being really successful, that some of them don't even have websites. They just rely on like Instagram or TikTok or YouTube to basically get out there to show they either know the product, understand the product, or get across to us the benefit of it. And often that's all we need to see to make that impulse buy or to get someone to join you or sign up or whatever. But you're right, the whole thing with like blogging every day and all of that, I think we're so impatient now where unless we really, really, really need to read that blog because we need to understand something, we're more like we just want snippets, just bits and pieces and move on kind of thing.
I think the other thing to consider is that a lot of it is to do with personality-driven marketing as opposed to being that written kind of being found. I think there's still markets for the written content. You know, if you take a look at things like You Ask, They Answer, you know, it's a good book on answering questions that people have. So they've put a ton of content on this. So when people are doing searches, you know, it ranks in those snippets at the top. Whether that's still as prevalent these days as optimal as it used to be, because AI is basically just answering everything now. You look at the search results, it's AI says this, AI says that. So it's getting to the point where this is why Google is kind of going down the pan when it goes down the sort of the search engine side of things, because it's just stuffing it full of AI-based crap itself. So no one's listening.
I don't know about you guys, but I've almost 100% transferred over. I start all of my searches in ChatGPT now. Like all my searches lately in the past month have been 100% ChatGPT. And then if for some reason I want a little more detailed information or get a different opinion, that's when I'll go to Google. So, and I know I'm not the only one doing this. So yeah, maybe it could still rank in Google, but I don't know. I think less and less people moving forward are going to be using that as their first, choice.
I agree. I totally agree. And the fact that it talks back to you as well. You know,
yeah, but it says, so don't ask me stupid questions, for God's sake. You know, if you can't come up with a sensible question, don't ask me anything. Now go to your room. You know, but I'd say Perplexity is probably better than ChatGPT when it comes to if you want to do research, because it gives you the citations in there. But then ChatGPT has kind of brought out the new feature now where it actually searches for you, isn't it? That's one of the latest features it's kind of brought out. So that's kind of interesting to see. But I agree. I think the traditional way of going to Google, unless you're looking for like a product or something, so you're literally going there to look for something to buy or, you know, something specific. If I want to know about code, if I want to know, like for example, let's say I want to have a little thing pop up on screen in one of my videos talking about like taxonomies. I can't be asked to write that. I'll just go to ChatGPT, explain what a taxonomy is in WordPress geared towards, you know, beginners, and then use that, maybe tweak it a little bit, because the answers are already out there. So what's the point in going to Google to get bombarded with unrelated crap and ads?
Yeah, that happened the other day. I was trying to come up with a movie. You know how sometimes you're talking and you're like, what's that movie? I went on Google. I tried to search it, you know, the way I would search in ChatGPT. I couldn't find the movie I wanted. Within 2 seconds, ChatGPT gave me the answer. But Google wanted me to look at, 10 best movies, and it's filled with ads and all this crap. So I don't know. I mean, we actually have a travel blog. I don't really promote it much, but for a while we were getting heavy traffic. Like I was getting page 1 snippets, you know, a couple years ago. I just recently looked. I'm now page 5. And yeah, those blog posts are a little bit older, but like some stuff just gets pushed so far back. I would have to update that content all the time to stay relevant, you know? Yeah. So,
but I think Toby does make a very good point there, saying that because AI is kind of still out of date to a certain extent, that we are just going to get regurgitated information. But I do also think, going back to what we said earlier on, I think we're at the beginning of AI becoming useful, you know, and it will start to get more information. And yes, there's going to be that certain overlap where, you know, there's that gap between its most up-to-date information and where we are now, and that rolling kind of thing. But again, these algorithms, they're going to get better. Information is going to resurface. Everything kind of ebbs and flows. So at the moment, AI is the be-all and end-all, and everybody's jumping on that bandwagon to get it shoehorned into their search engines, into their products, etc., etc., etc. But that will settle down, and we will start to see a more balance. Because, yeah, if you do have the point where everything is just out of date people are going to stop searching for that, and they're going to find other ways, and the search engines are going to pick up on other ways, and AI is going to come up with other ways of finding that information and so on. So I just think we are kind of like at that point now where we're probably sitting at the bottom of a wave, and it's going to rise up at some point in the near future when we kind of start to crest the sort of lull we're in at the moment, when the information is being absorbed and it now needs new information and more up-to-date information of ways of finding it.
Yeah. Yeah, I just wanted to just make sure that I was on the right page, because clients, they for so long they still thought that it worked. I have a friend of mine, and their company, they do like custom closets, so they have a very specific corner of the market, and the SEO was working for them up until like last year, and then they've been throwing thousands of dollars at ads to even survive, to even get ranked anywhere, and it's not working that great either. So even with ads, I think ads is kind of turning into like the new SEO, where it's like, okay, you have to optimize for these keywords in this market. So that's the way I see it shifting, is using paid ads. I think is going to be.
So
yeah, you go ahead.
I'm an SEO guy. All right, I believe in SEO. As long as there's a search engine, there's going to be a purpose for it. It's important. I also believe that anybody creating websites needs to learn it. I do believe that they need to learn and understand it. And from what I've seen, it just shifts. It just evolves, and it all depends on the business. Some businesses it's going to work out, especially local SEO. But I think the original question though was the SEO companies that are having people spend thousands of dollars. Now, when I was running my agency, I would say about 80% of the time, my clients were just getting, they're getting shafted, like just some really poor quality stuff. But there were some times where there were some good SEO companies that came in and did some solid work. I think though we could always tell if they put in Yoast or if they try to put in a slider. There's a lot of like red flags that come up. But this is what got me on the SEO path, was seeing my clients, get taken advantage of, and not really getting good results.
Well, so the weird thing that I found that not a lot of people talk about is, like, literally right now we're in the middle of a core update. Like Veterans Day, they started another core update. So the issue I have with SEO and how Google runs it is they're always running like experiments. So what your client sees is going to be different than what you see. And how are you going to measure what works and doesn't work if everything's always experimental testing? It's like, that doesn't make any sense. It's not like an equal playing field where everybody's seeing the same results. Because sometimes I have a client of mine, I told him the other day, I was like, you know what, let's do an experiment. We both went in incognito. It was like a local real estate guy. He was getting totally different results than me, and he was 10 minutes away from me. So it's like, how can I measure what the hell works anymore if what I do works, but then he doesn't see it,
Well, first is the basics. Like 80% of it is just making sure you have all the basics dialed in. And that's where most websites fail. They don't even have the basics.
Yeah, like a site map
And
or
then the
something.
rest
Yeah.
proper HTML semantics set up, it's all about content as well. How optimized and how well written is the content. I still see, I look at this more as an opportunity for web designers to come in. Like you said, the old days of SEO companies and SEO strategies and backlinks and all that stuff, they are fading away. Things are evolving. And I see this more as an opportunity for web designers coming in saying, hey, you don't need to spend $5,000 a month over there, because I could also help out over here. Once you get some experience and you see your industry will do better with this strategy right here, you don't need to throw tons of money here. We'll just do a certain amount, and then let's focus on ads, because that's going to work better for you. Every business is going to have a different strategy.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to be releasing, a really simple like checklist of just the basics. Very simple. I'm going to have anybody can follow, sign up for Google Search Console and actually like submit your sitemap, the simple stuff that an SEO company would have done and charge you thousands of dollars. So yeah, I want to make sure that moving forward, our clients don't hire these people to begin with, because I hate they hire them and then they come back to us and was like, hey, help. And I literally had to erase everything that this SEO company did. They were like doing disavow stuff all throughout the robots file. They were doing like stuff that is not at all ever best practice, like the worst possible thing you could do. I have to erase it now.
Yeah.
So I have to spend time. Right? That's the
And
part
that's
I
why
don't
web
like.
designers, yeah, and that's why web designers need to learn this stuff. So if their client does hire an SEO company, they could come in and take a look and be like, hey,
Yeah.
there's no H tags on this page. Like, what did
Yeah.
the SEO company? I've seen it, dude. I've seen it. I'm sure I would love to hear the stories in the chat, dude, because I know we all got stories of SEO
Yeah.
companies like
Yes.
doing their
Yeah.
absolute worst.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one they had fired. They were still doing directories, and the client was like, "Does that work?" I was like, "That hasn't worked in probably 10, 15 years." I'm like, "Oh, jeez."
It is a shitty situation because, like we said, there are a lot of bad companies out there, and I know that I've had good ongoing relationships with companies I've worked with, and they've bitten that sort of whole. Taking an SEO company on board, it's going to take 6 to 12 months before you'll see any results. It's like £200 a month. It's like that's an awful lot of money before you see a result. And if you find out they've done a shitty job, you're already into them for a couple of grand, And it's like it's such an easy way of doing it. And like you say, one of the things I used to find most frustrating is that, as with most clients, once they're told something by someone that's an expert, they kind of override what you would tell them, and it's like. You kind of have this sort of, they've said this and they specialize in that, so they must know what they're talking about. It's like, okay, so they want access to the website, they want FTP access so they can do blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, no problem at all. But I will say anything, if they mess the site up, that's on them. And if you want me to repair it afterwards, that's a cost. I don't, you take that at your own risk. But yeah, it was a shit.
I
That's
got
a hard
really
one.
annoyed with.
Yeah.
I got really annoyed with this client who I cared a lot about, and they said, you do the web design, but we've already contracted prior for someone to do our SEO. And I was like, well, I'd said, I'm not stepping on their shoes, but can you just tell me who they are and where they're based and what they're going to do? And they're like, I don't really want to share too much. And I was like, okay, fine, built the website. And then after a week later, their SEO person went in and they paid over $2,000, and all the SEO person did was put Facebook pixels in, the Google Tag Manager, which was already done via Rank Math, which is what we were using at the time, but didn't do any improvements to the keywords, to the post or the pages, because I thought their SEO person would do that. And then the SEO person came back and was like, oh no, we don't put keywords in. We just make sure, it's out there, and now you're hopefully going to get traffic and all of that. And I went back to the client and I went, this is not going to do bugger all for you. In fact, the Facebook pixels things can be annoying for some people, but they've done the bare minimum for you, And I felt gutted for the client. But what I have found out with a lot of people in the last, it happened during COVID, around the time when COVID was now, 2021, 2020-ish time. There were a lot of conferences popping up, online conferences and everywhere, where they were basically just saying to people, look, you got to hire SEO experts if you want to make it in the business world. And when you work or find someone that really knows what they're doing, it's great. But I think the trouble is, though, that there is a little bit of a disconnect with what someone might say is when they call themselves an SEO expert, but they know nothing about web design and getting keywords in. And it reminds me a bit of when someone is a designer. When you get a client and they give you a pixel perfect design, and you kind of go, you want me to build a website that looks like that? And then you speak to the designer and the designer goes, well, I don't understand WordPress and websites. I don't understand how things work. Here's the design. And sometimes there's a bit of a disconnect. So there are good SEO people out there, but I always feel gutted for clients that have got sucked into the whole, you pay us and we'll get you onto page one, and you go, they've done what I would have done for you at no extra charge at the time I was building the website anyway, kind of thing. So
I think another area
that
is very, sorry Jeffrey, I think another area that's very similar is marketing via social media. You've got these specialists in it, and to give it a good example, like Imran was saying there with a client, I've got this one client that they've got someone doing the SEO marketing, and they come back, they go, oh, you've had 20,000 views on this post and 15,000 views on this post and blah, blah, blah. So I said to them, okay, that sounds good. Are they putting trackable links in there? Are anybody actually clicking on those links? Are they being tracked back? What's the conversion rate? They go, what?
Hmm.
Oh
It's like,
yeah.
it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. A million people can see it, but if nobody
Yeah.
clicks on it, it's irrelevant. And it's like you are paying them however much money, and I think that's the next thing up from SEO specialists, are social media specialists that are doing the same kind of thing. They're just touting these big numbers because it's easy to get views in certain respects, but unless they convert into something, it's totally irrelevant. It makes no difference. Do you know
Yeah,
what I mean? So
that's why you could rank.
Yeah,
You could rank number
absolutely.
one. You could rank number one for certain keywords, but if it doesn't convert to a customer or somebody doesn't buy, then who gives a who cares if it's number one or number 500?
Can I just drop something in here? So I remember there was an author, and he kept telling everyone that he ranked number one in Amazon. His self-published book was in such a niche area. It ranked for something ridiculous that I don't think anyone would ever search for. And I was like, of course you're number one, because no one else writes books for that niche. But his sales were like dismal unless he bought the book himself. So it was like, yeah.
Yeah.
sorry, Jeffrey, you were going to say before I rudely interrupted.
It's all good. I still haven't got down the art of jumping in, on the Zoom calls or the group calls. But
Just do it.
yeah,
Just
we
do
got
what
to
I
raise
do.
our hands.
Just
Yeah,
do it.
just butt in. Yeah. No, I found that, when a client hires another agency, whether it's digital marketing, SEO, and we know that this other company's rubbish, it doesn't really work well trying to tell the client this, because the client, feels like they're invested, they'll feel like they're duped, and they don't want to. And it takes careful
Yeah.
navigation to get the client to see it. You can't just tell the client, hey, that company sucks, or doing this, or doing this, or doing this, because the client's going to get defensive because it was their decision to make it.
Hmm.
What I found helps out is something that I like to do in the very beginning is I like to get everybody on a call. I like to tell the client, hey, I found out when there's different parts to your website. I want us to work as a team, be on the same page. Let's set up a call. And when I get everybody and I get the other agency on the call, that's when I start to probe, see, where are they at? What are they going to do? Let them know my processes and make sure they're not going to step on my toes. And
Hmm.
also vice versa. But it's all about, phrasing it to the client. Hey, we're going to do this as a team. That way you're going to get the better results, and that way there's no conflicts.
Yeah. One thing I actually one of the clients that actually fired their SEO company this year. I was on the phone with her. I was like, "Who are these people? And what do they do?" She literally could not answer what they do. And then I was like, "Can you just do me a favor? Can you just have them send me a before and after of anything, like where they ranked a year ago or 6 months ago to now?" They couldn't send anything. So she's like, "Oh yeah, I've been wasting my money." I was like, "Yes, finally, people like." I just I could breathe because people. I've been saying this for years. Like it's been so bad in our
Yeah.
industry. The one thing, Jeff, though, is sometimes in our situation, we'll build the whole thing out, and then 6 months later, they hire that SEO company, like underneath us, and not even tell us. And so I go in there, and there's all this custom code, and I'm like, oh, what is this crap? So there are times where it has gotten bad, where since I host all of our websites, I'm like, I just get off my server. I can't deal with this because um, yeah, one of them had a security issue and bots logging in and people from all different weird countries logging in. It was like, what is going on? And when I told them, hey, there's people from these other countries logging into your website, they were completely oblivious to like, who is this? Why are they logging in? I'm like, yeah, you hired an SEO firm and they just outsourced it to God knows who. Now this guy has the keys to your kingdom. And there's a lot of layers to this, you know.
That's really bad. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really
But
bad.
does a client know that we could do it? See, I had a client too, and I remember this is what my changing point is when that client was spending $5,000 a month, and it was a really good dude, like really good
Mm.
guy, man. And it hurt me to see what this company did. They didn't add any keywords, they didn't change any content. They just took him for a ride. And
Yeah.
that's when I decided to start. And then we had a conversation later. I said, yeah, we're doing SEO now. We're also offering that. And he was like, dude, I wish you would have told me this from the very beginning. So this is the reason why I also feel that web designers need to start to understand it, learn it. We don't have to be specialists. We could always partner with people that we know are good. We got to learn the basics so that way we could at least vet and verify the quality of what's being done. But we got to start, doing more to let our clients know, hey, we got you covered.
Do you think this is kind of pushing back to what we've talked about, I think, in the past, which is the quality of people calling themselves web designers? Because anybody can set themselves up and call themselves a web designer because there's no governing body, there's no standard or certificate or certification or anything like that denotes whether you're good or bad. Like you've got SEO experts, for example, but there's qualifications they can do to get Google certified, and then you've got Microsoft certified for different things, for servers and stuff like that. But there's nothing in the web design industry. So that probably is a big part of it. 'Cause I mean, you all work with clients, whether you still do now or you have in the past, and I'm sure you've all picked up clients because they've had a really bad experience with another company for whatever reason, and you've looked at what they've done and it's been terrible. Like you've already talked about, semantically correct information. That your hierarchy is correct. Your H1s, your H2s, your H3s are all semantically correct. The way that you put your code together, your site together, whatever tools you're using is optimized in the right way. And then you look at some people's code, it's kind of frustrating because everybody's kind of lumped in under this term web designer, web developer, web agency, whatever you kind of branded as. It's all the same things. But it can be such a shitty business where finding a good company is scary for a lot of people. I mean, what are your thoughts on that side of things? That I'm not saying we should call for some kind of certification or anything like that. That's a difficult thing to go down because who does it? But it is a kind of difficult industry.
Yeah, I think the difficulty comes in that when I'm approaching a client or they approach me, I make sure it's included in there things like about the performance, the SEO. I even advise them on like free advice about marketing and what they need to be thinking about once we're done. Get things set up now if you haven't got your Insta page or whatever. Go and start to get these up so we've got your links, grow your following, blah, 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 build up the hype. The problem is they will always see us as like a web designer that also does other stuff as well. Whereas when you go to like LinkedIn, there are people where their title is SEO expert, and they come out with numbers where you start to wonder how true is this. They start to come out with stuff. They put out a post that says, I made a business go. They put on a chart and goes, I made a business sales go from here to like this. But you're never able to verify or double check how much truth is in there. So a lot of businesses, if you're working with premium businesses, they will probably already have like an SEO expert in mind because that's all they do. That's all the SEO expert does. They don't build websites. They don't look at performance or anything like that. They just do SEO. So we have to kind of we have to come across as like that we know what we're talking about, and depending on how you stage it, you can get there with a client. You can explain to them that you know what you're talking about, but you've got to cross that hurdle in that we're seen as web designers, and it's like the thing I've said for so many years. Like if you come across a friend or a family and they go, "Hey Imran, what are you up to these days?" and I go, "Oh yeah, I design websites," they think that's all we do. And as web designers and agencies or freelancers, we need to kind of showcase and show that we don't just design websites.
We also make the logo bigger.
Picture. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we think about the bigger picture. The whole marketing, all of that and things. So it's about promoting that side of what we do a bit more. And it's good that Jeffrey does a lot of that. In his course as well and stuff. So that's something that you could argue that even as content creators, we don't probably promote as much in a way. We talk about plugins and we talk about tools, but maybe we need to get or pass on the knowledge so that other web designers can have that confidence to kind of talk more about SEO.
To sort of talk about from my experience, I mean, when I was still doing this as a kind of profession, as in working with clients and looking for new clients and things, I stayed away from SEO because of the experience you kind of had, and you've seen other people have the same experience with these professionals. And the one thing that whenever I see anybody put in their Twitter, X bio, LinkedIn, whatever it is, blah, 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 expert, I immediately go, if you're calling yourself an expert, you're probably not an expert. You just think you're good at it. Do you know what I mean? You think, I wouldn't call myself an expert in anything, except for maybe, not calling myself an expert. I'm pretty good at that. But do you know what I mean? It's kind of like this self-given title that you're an expert in something. Who's told you that? Where's the certificate that says you're an expert?
Yeah.
So there's the first red flag there for me. But yeah, it is, I don't know. It is a weird one with the web design thing because there's no control over it. Anybody can be anything they want to be and say what they want to say. So
we just got to be honest,
Yeah. I was going to
I
say,
was
the one
just
thing
gonna
I
say
educate
that,
our
yeah.
clients all the time. I know we always have this. All right, let's do rock, paper, scissors. Whoever wins, you ready?
It's on you, man. Go.
No, all I was going to say is a lot of times I help educate a client on how these algorithms work. I'm like, okay, think about this for a second. Google has spent billions of dollars on like their algorithm, right? Do you think that the guy down the street who runs that SEO firm can trick the system, or he knows anything about how the algorithm works? Like, even at the best knowledge that we have up to 200 signals for ranking, and now it's possible it could be as high as like 14,000 ranking signals because of this algorithm leak recently. So there's nobody in the world, and I bet even Google doesn't understand how their algorithms work. They've even said it. There's like a bunch of like baby algorithms. So when I try to explain to them the technical part of that, they finally like listen because they think that like these people can work magic. And I'm trying to like debunk that there's no company that could do that, or no person. That helps a lot. Yeah.
Jeffrey, take the opportunity.
I forgot.
I got nothing to say now.
No, like, I think at the end of the day, like, everybody needs to start somewhere. I remember being 6 months in learning and, building terrible websites for very low pay. That was the starting point. The thing is, just be honest about it. You just got to be honest. And for anybody who is like watching this, like, oh my God, do I got to be an expert to actually start doing this? Is like, no, just got to be honest. Like let the client know, give them the opportunity, tell them, hey, I've been doing it this long, I'm still just learning and this is where I'm at right now. It lets the client know. There are a majority of clients they don't need all this. They don't, they're not ready to seriously invest and compete. But I also think that should be a goal for anybody wanting to build expertise. Web design is evolving as well with AI and everything. It's getting easier, all these no code tools. We need to start looking at the parallel specialties, the things that tie with it based on our clients' needs. But yeah, it just takes time and obsession, and yeah, just don't
Yeah.
lie.
But
Just
I
don't say,
think,
yeah, we're going to get you number one.
sorry, on your quick comment, I think there's one important factor there that comes across when you're talking, and I think most of the people in our circle and a lot of people we talk to is, you're honest enough with yourself and you're honest enough with other people that you want to do the best, you aim and strive to do the best. And if you don't know something, you'll say you don't know it. And there's a lot of value in that. But not everybody has that same level of integrity. And I think it goes the same with the SEO side of things, maybe several years ago. That integrity is what separates, but not every potential client can see that integrity, and they can get bitten and they can get burnt very, very easily. And I would say there's probably a lot more people out there that are in it for a quick buck in any walk of life, in any kind of way that they can do it. And it's the same, I think, with what we are doing, the web design side of things. You kind of see that, I think, very quickly when you start to work with clients. Sorry, Imran.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, what I wanted to say is about the integrity and what you're saying. It links into what Jeffrey was just saying. It's a lot of it comes down to the honesty side of it. So a lot of emails that a lot of clients will get will be, I've looked at your website and I can get you onto page one. I can do this. I can do that. We will guarantee this, X, Y, Z. And there's loads of bullet points and whatever. And whenever I speak to clients, or if someone contacts me because their page speed performance needs improving, or their SEO or the website, I make it really clear is that I cannot guarantee anything. I cannot guarantee that you are going to get onto page 2 or page 1. I can't get you to 100% for your desktop or your mobile. I'll do my best. I will do everything I can within whatever budget we're working with, but I can't guarantee that. And 9 times out of 10, clients like to hear that, because what they will have is they'll have tons of emails that say, we can do X, Y, Z, before they've even looked at your website, before they've even spoken to you, investigated your niche, looked at your competition. They're already guaranteeing the world. Whereas if you can be honest about what you can do or what you can't do or what you're going to try to do for them, it goes a long way to building up that trust and to reduce expectation, so that if in 6 months' time they're still on page 2, well, that's because you're competing against big established businesses that are killing it in that market. So, but you've still got to do stuff to get out there, so they understand, rather than, well, I paid you, why am I not number 1 yet? So integrity, honesty goes a long way.
You can go a lot further with integrity. There's more opportunity if you are a person of integrity, because the clients, they know that it's a risky business. You're going to take losses. And when they do find somebody that they could trust, they want to stay with that person that they could trust. And that's how you build those long-term relationships. Anybody running an agency will let you know that, you earn the most from long-term relationships with clients. You grow with your clients. You don't have to worry about getting new clients. And then those who are just out for the quick buck, they're just quick turnkeys, And if you do build expertise and continue to learn how to add value by learning things like SEO and how to deliver, learning different marketing, content strategy, funnels, conversion rate optimizations, well, that's how you really grow in this. For me, I believe the right way, because you're growing and you're actually offering value. You're helping other businesses. And at the end of the day, dude, you could just sleep better. You feel better. It's a much more enjoyable place to be, to do this right and actually help people.
Yeah.
Can I just come into that bit? So all of us have been in this scenario where years ago or recently, you agreed to build a website, but you were never fully sure of how you were going to meet the spec. And then you had sleepless nights, you worried, you were trying to solve the problem. You eventually got there, but it wasn't fun. And we've all had that experience early on. And then you make a decision that I will only build certain types of websites, or I'll be really clear about what I can and can't do. And if you get that into your head, and you know that this is what I can do for SEO, this is what I can do for performance, you're not putting this undue pressure upon yourself. And it's exactly like you said, Jeffrey, you enjoy it more, because you're working within your boundaries or parameters. And yes, we like to stretch ourselves and learn and do more, but you want to enjoy the whole learning experience. You don't want to go, damn, there's no way the client's going to get onto page 1 now because that's what I promised or that's what they want. So manage expectation and enjoy what you do.
And it's something that is, if you talk about search engines, you have no control over anything. Like they can flip the switch tomorrow and change. They are changing everything all the time. Yeah.
But also bear in mind that when it comes to the search engines, they're geared towards your past history, your location. There's a multitude of parameters that go into your results compared to the next person's results. And one thing I always did with any clients, they'll go like, I want to be on page 1, or this SEO company's promised you page 1. The first thing I'd ask them is, so what keyword or words are they actually saying they'll get you on there for? And I had one that was like minibuses, for example. I said, okay, so they're going to get you on page 1 for minibuses. Yeah. So just for the term minibuses. Yeah. I said, right, let's go to Google. This is going back like 10 years ago. Let's go to Google, type in minibuses. Okay. How many results? 14 million. I said, so that's your competition. You've got to beat 14 million other websites right now, and you're paying them 150 quid a month. Is that do you think that's realistic? And they go, well, that's what they've promised me. It's like, yeah, they can promise you anything in the world. And they're also saying it's going to take 6 to 12 months. You have, like Imran said, you set the expectations. You say, if you said you want to look for used minibuses in, let's just say, Cardiff, suddenly that 14 million comes down to maybe 1 million. Well, suddenly that becomes less terrifying. Then you sort of say, right, now how do we hone it down? It's set, like you say, setting expectations, educating the client to what is reasonably possible within the budget that they have. But you know, these SEO companies, in a lot of ways, they don't want to tell that. They don't want to say that because they want them to go, oh, you said you can get me on page one. So I'm going to listen to what you say and I'm going to give you money because that's what I want. And I think Phil said earlier on, or Mark said, clients want to be lied to. Well, I think when it comes to search engines and stuff like that, there is a lot of that. Whether it's still the same now, I don't know because I don't really deal with that side of things. But I can imagine there's still companies out there, and the same with social media marketing, that are promising those kinds of results. And it's very difficult then for the end user to kind of go, well, I don't see it. They go, but look, there's your social media. 14,000 this week on that post. Mm-hmm. But I didn't make a sale this week. I know, but 14,000 people saw that advert. But no one bloody clicked it, so it's irrelevant. So yes, I think there is a certain sense of, a good person, good business owner with a conscience that wants to build relationships, like Jeffrey said. And it was my sales pitch when I was doing this. I don't want to just build you a website. I want to build a website that you're happy with, that does the job you want it to, and then we build a relationship. So as you grow, and that website helps you grow as a business to make more money, when you're ready then to have website version 2.0, or you've got a new business idea, you're immediately going to come back to me. So that relationship goes on, and they grow and you grow with them.
Yeah.
And that's the key thing. Well, you lie to people and set expectations that are not realistic, they'll go.
Yeah, the line I use, and it always works, and I truly mean it, is that I want you to be successful, so we're still working together in 10 years' time, and I want to help you get there. So I want them to understand, I don't just want to build your website, I want you to succeed. The one area that sometimes I find is tricky is that when you have clients who are nervous about putting themselves out there, they sometimes prefer to work with some companies that say, yeah, we'll do 10 adverts for you per month. So a company is just putting out images or whatever on social media or sponsored adverts. And what I keep saying to clients is that works to an extent, but you need to get out there as well. You need to kind of be able to do the odd video or whatever, even if it's just a short on LinkedIn or something like that, because people now, I feel like we're a lot, general public are getting a bit more wiser now. You see an advert, you see an image that promises you whatever, hey, look, buy this and it's going to make you really tough and give you loads of muscles. You always kind of go, is that really true or not? You want to see some form of evidence. And I've lost my train of thought now, but basically there's loads of companies out there that all they do is you just pay them and they just put images out. And I'm trying to get people to embrace the fact that you don't have to look like a model. Look, the world has changed now. 20 years ago, if you were going to put yourself on camera, you had to look a certain way, you had to talk a certain way. People were very conscious of how they looked or what they were wearing. Now the world is very different. So I say to people, look, no one cares about how you look or sound. Well, they probably do, but, get the message out there. That is going to help grow your business. That's going to build trust, kind of thing. So, and this isn't just for businesses, by the way. This is for web designers that are watching now. If you're struggling in your business and you're not getting clients, you might have an amazing website and you got your profile picture and you got your portfolio, but have you ever put yourself out there? I don't mean start a YouTube channel, but on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on places, have you ever just done a 30-second video where you've just said, hey, look, I'm working on XYZ? Don't say, hey, I'm Imran, I design websites. Just share today, hi, I'm working on a WooCommerce website. I'm looking at this plugin and it's really good or whatever. Just something to show you're human, you're real, not just an image.
Because people buy from people.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And there's so much AI images out there these days. There's so many companies that put out an image and you can clearly tell that's not a real person. It's not, whatever.
The 7 fingers on one hand tends to give it away.
I don't know. It might be true, but...
See, I'm
It's
not
true.
even social, I'm an introvert. I get, social anxiety, all that stuff. But still, I go out and when I just tell people I build websites, I design websites, I get so many leads that way just by going out and actually letting people know. I got an Airbnb recently while traveling. And he started, what do you do? Oh, I build websites. I need one. It's great. Our clients are it's just like Imran said. You start connecting with people around you. You go to, networking events, stuff like that. But also, one of the biggest challenges is finding new clients. That's, the big one that you always hear. But if you work closely with a few clients, you'll get enough ongoing business where that really takes that pressure off of finding new clients. I think it's a mindset shift. You definitely got to change your whole mindset and approach around a lot of this.
I think so. Like going back and keeping that kind of train of thought going, I think that's kind of so true in all walks of life. I mean, it's true in what we do on YouTube. It's true in what we do when we're part of the communities and things like that, the communities we develop ourselves. If people very quickly see if all you're in it for is money, or you're in it for the fame or the celebrity, depending on what industry and market you're actually in. And that integrity is incredibly important. And I think you can tell the difference between, in whatever market it is, whether it's like social media, whether it's YouTube, things like that, you can very quickly tell who are the ones that are in it for the fast money or for the fame or for the celebrity, the status, those kinds of things. And we've already seen it, in all walks of life, you've got these people that want to portray themselves as being something they're not. Experts, whether they're, an expert in some field or they're making millions. And, you look at your Tai Lopez people and stuff like that on YouTube from a few years ago, these so-called gurus. It only lasts so long before the bubble bursts, but a lot of people make a lot of money in that time.
That's one thing that
I just thought of Web
going
Yoda.
through my brain a lot lately is
Me too.
so that's something that I've been thinking a lot about lately is how
Web Yoda,
are
really?
younger people viewing websites and blogs and that type of stuff, because I recently
think they
live
do.
stream a lot. Yeah, I was like, I don't know, what do you guys think that like 18, 19, 20-year-olds ever read a blog in their life? Like that's not a thing that they do at all.
Too busy on TikTok.
No.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
So,
It's
Short
like
form,
YouTube
short form
Shorts,
content
TikTok.
has changed all that. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Massively.
For the
I've
worst.
actually, I've actually, you guys don't see me on Facebook anymore. It's because I cut out social media for a while, and I made a rule for myself: no more short form content. Short form content is actually, it's like you're taking a step back from learning. You're taking a step
Yeah.
back from your
Yeah,
IQ
I
because
agree.
your brain, yeah, like when you read and you watch long form content, you're learning. Your neurons are starting to connect. You're getting
Yeah.
smarter. Short form
Well,
content does the complete opposite.
I've been hearing a lot of younger people, they're saying that like, especially like young teenagers, like a lot of times they can't get out of bed because their dopamine levels are so high because they've been scrolling for hours and hours. Like it could become like a real thing where it's like, this
Doom
is a problem,
scrolling.
It is.
Yeah.
It is,
Yeah.
man.
So
It is. That's why
I think that a
Australia's
lot of
banning
younger
it, right?
people, yeah, I think a lot of people are just almost view the internet as like where they go watch videos. So that's why I've been so heavy on videos, and I think all of you guys too. Like, I don't want to be a dinosaur. Like, I'm not here to just create blogs anymore because that's not going to be a sustainable business,
No.
Blogs
no.
could be good as long as there's like a goal in it, a newsletter sign up. And it doesn't have to be a lot of people. Like you could still do well
Yeah.
with blogs, but yeah, it's just shifted, it's changed. There has to be a goal to it.
Yeah.
I think that when it comes to web design, or as designers or builders or whatever, short form doesn't work very well for us, I feel like, especially when you're trying to share a tutorial or training. If you're selling a product, though, where you're just trying to show, look, put these shoes on and you'll be able to fly or whatever, I think that's where it works, where you're showcasing a service or a benefit, and you can get all of that. You can show the problem, the pain point, the solution, the benefit, all within 30, 40 seconds. It works. I just feel like it's something I do advise some of my clients, and some of them do quite well on it, for whatever business they've got. I go, look, do snippets or tips and tricks and stuff like that. It will work for you. It works for them from our point of view, because I did as well quite a lot of shorts. I was doing them every day for a good 3-4 months. And I started to realize that I'm spending a lot of time on this, but there's very little return because you have to now get it to fit, this 1 minute slot, whatever. And so I just feel like if it works for you, great. From my point of view, I prefer to do this thing here.
To be honest, I've kind of looked at, do I want to get into the whole shorts thing, and I just don't see a
It
massive
sucks up your
benefit to
time,
it.
Paul.
Yeah,
No,
I just
it really sucks up a lot of time.
I think you can add more value in other ways. I get it. I get it. Like you say, there's use cases for it and there's benefits for it, but I don't know. I think it detracts. Then you kind of train your audience or the audience you pick up from that side of things to be geared towards short form content, and they don't tend to transition into your long form content. So I think long term, it probably has more of a negative strategy, negative net result than you'd have positives.
Well, here's the big problem with it, and I don't want to talk about it too much, but when you do a normal video and we do it on our channel, people are more likely to watch it, maybe look at the description, maybe subscribe, maybe find out more, whatever. With short form, you might see a video, you might go, oh yeah, that was interesting, and then you scroll. You very rarely go into the description. Very rarely do you go into maybe follow them, whatever. You just kind of you're doing that because it's almost like you want to get as much content done before you, I don't know, fall asleep, or, you know, if you're sat on the toilet and, you know, you need to get out because there's someone knocking on the door and you need to answer the door, and, oh man, all this stuff happening in your life and all that.
Well, stop going to strangers' houses and using their toilets.
I never go out.
It's not your house you're in, actually, is it? It's mine.
No.
We've already agreed that. You sat in the corner over there, for God's sake.
I could just like touch your hand or something, which depending which way we are.
We'll hold hands. Ah, so lovely. It was a moment in time. Anyway, yeah. Jeffrey, you're probably thinking, what the hell have I let myself in for?
I'm used to it. It's all
Yeah,
good.
it's true. It's true. Yeah.
Well, Jeffrey came at a good time. Jeffrey, you came right after the election. You came at a good time. It was not very fun here last week. I was like, there's a lot going on in this country.
Yeah. Well, I was here last week. Yeah, but
Yeah.
this is the reason why I stay off the social media, man. I want to stay
Yep.
focused on,
I
growth. I
know.
want to stay focused on how I could help people learn and stuff like that. I'll dip it. That's one of the benefits that I have though of living in Thailand. I'm out of the mess. Like I'm
Oh
just out
yeah.
of it. I get to see it from a bird's eye view, and it
Uh-huh.
changed my perspective on everything.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah, better to spend your time doing stuff like this, I think. Get together with some like-minded idiots. Sorry, I mean people. People. And just talk shite for,
Who's the
for an hour.
person here?
Talk crap for an hour. It seems to work quite well. Yeah. So, okay. Any other topics you want to touch upon before we sort of wind things down a little bit?
How about what do you guys think about? I'm going to stir it up. What do you think about Elementor's default settings when it comes to SEO?
Horrible.
Do we
Well,
have
I
any?
mean, it depends.
We don't have any, do we?
Well, if you think about it, there are millions of Elementor websites out there built by people who haven't studied it that aren't set up with header tags, footer tags,
Oh yeah,
proper
yeah.
semantics, all
I,
those
I,
little those things. Yeah.
I, I, okay. I don't understand yet why we have to go and set it. I still don't get it, and I still have these
Dude.
major doubts about the main. You know, like the main tag and the section tag. I still have doubts. I keep convincing myself it's already got it built in. You know, like every page should
Yeah.
be the main automatic, and some people say it is, and some people say it's not. Then I inspect and I go, it isn't, and I start to doubt myself about it. With like how the header footer easy, but then the whole main and section argument that bothers me a lot. To this day, it still bothers me, and it
To
should
get
be.
the
We
main
shouldn't have
tag,
to
you,
pick
you
it.
can't even use. Yeah, to get the main tag, you got to go to default template or to theme, to the theme. So I don't know.
I
Did you
hate
feel
that.
this way,
I
Imran, when
hate
you were
that.
doing this course? You're trying to teach best practices inside of the Elementor course,
I
and it
completely
was the
dodged
most
that bit.
frustrating thing. I was that was my big focus, but I was more aware now after being
Yeah.
a heavy bricks user for a long time now. I was more aware of all the default setup on things like custom width, starting off on percentage. It's those little details throughout the entire thing, or you set up your rim, you change your size to mobile, and it goes to pixel. You know, I don't know, man. My
So
So
editor was
my
laughing
pushback
at
on
my
that,
frustrations.
my I have one little pushback though is does those little tiny details even matter? Because Google can render your pages and know what the context of your content is. So I think a lot of that semantic stuff is out the window. Like I used to use schema all the time. I don't touch that at all anymore. It's completely useless in my opinion. Some people might
I
swear
don't.
by it,
I'm
but
sorry. I think it's still. I think it's still important. I believe in best practices, and I think even it might not be as important. Yeah. I mean, again, I'm an SEO guy. I do believe in just covering all the best practices, and schemas worked well for me. Uh, it might not be as important as it was before, but it's still, I think, the reason why I feel like it should be baked into Elementor is because so many people are building websites who don't understand this stuff, which means we got millions of websites out there with bad, semantics and stuff and bad practices.
so basically, what the takeaway here is then use bricks.
Drop the mic. Look
Hey,
at here's my mic on it. By the way, I feel left out without a microphone. This is weird.
Yeah.
We'll just
I
drop
will,
it.
I will say something though. I mean, it's surprising how you become used to certain ways of working and your tools and so on. For example, I did a video about the sort of the latest updates in bricks today and yesterday kind of thing. And I did it without advanced thema and without core framework and things like that. And I'm like, shit, where's everything I'm used to? Where's all those things that make my life easier? And I kind of feel the same kind of thing. If I go back to Elementor, I had to do a tutorial or go back to work on a site that I've done in the past for a client or something. I'm just sat there going like, this feels so counterintuitive in so many different ways. And I think once you kind of, I mean, Jeffrey, you've said yourself, you've been using bricks quite heavily recently. How do you feel about going back to a global class-based system like like Elementor? I kind of feel like my fingers have been chopped off.
Extremely frustrated setting up containers, your outer sections. But the part that frustrates me the most is dealing with the paddings. That it doesn't make sense. Now when you go in, it's like, okay, you either link it all, which comes by default linked.
Yep.
I mean, how often are you going to have the same exact padding top, bottom, left, and right? That's a very rare situation. But to have the same padding on top and bottom, and then a different same on left and right is most situations.
Yep.
So why isn't this added? And yeah, I could go down and I could get worked
I've
up.
heard
Plus the caffeine is kicking in.
I've heard a rumor that we're going to hear more about the elemental class system. I don't know what they're doing, but I really hope they get it right, because we heard about it in January 2023, and then it was silent. We've heard nothing since January 2023. It was on the roadmap, and then that's it. But I've heard a rumor that we may hear something soon.
But again, it's one of those things that I always kind of feel like with this, they're playing catch up and they're kind of shoehorning into a system, much the same as WordPress.
That's what I worry about.
Do you know what I mean? There's so much technical debt and legacy there that you can't just build it in on top of everything else. That's why it took containers so long to become a feature, a non-experimental, and same CSS grid. You kind of have to look and think, well, I know you can kind of say like, oh, but Bricks is new and we get the same argument, and as Bricks matures, they're going to get the same issues. And yes, that's absolutely right. But Bricks put the foundations in, the right foundations in. You think if you go back to like Bricks version 1.0, they were using a very similar setup to like the containers and things that we used for so long in Elementor and in other page builders. But they got called out on it, and Thomas went back and refactored it to build it in, I think at the time it was just like sections and containers. And then it's obviously expanded to becoming blocks and divs, which are all fundamentally the same things anyway, but it's just their default settings. But they've been baked in from pretty much 1.0. So those kind of things are there. To put them retrospectively into something like Elementor isn't going to be as easy, because you're kind of trying to put something that's integral to the whole tool. How can I say? It's like putting the wheels on a car that you've sold for 10 years without any wheels on. It's just a strange thing to do. It's like, well, it's an integral part to it that was never there at the beginning, so it's going to be hard to put it back on. That's a terrible analogy. But
that's my big worry. So I'm interested, but I am worried. And then I start wondering, is that why we haven't had version 4 yet? Is it, like we're on version 3.25, 25 now at the moment. At what point are we going to go version 4? So I'm interested to see what they do, but I am a little bit worried as well, because I don't know. I can't see how you could do it without suddenly affecting loads of other websites that are already built. It's like when they made a change from, was it the syntax for container? No, they went from container to CONT, or was it the other way around? They switched it about a year ago. And loads of people that had built websites where they'd used a bit of CSS, they had to go through their websites to change the class name and whatever. So,
Do you think it'd be better off for Elementor to? Do you think it'd be better off for them to just do a Divi, create a whole new version instead of keep trying to build on top of the old?
Yep. Will they do it? No.
They probably wouldn't do it.
Again, they have the resources.
Again,
they have the resources.
Yeah, totally. But historically, you look at companies. Look at Adobe. Right, one of the biggest problems with most of their software is because so much technical debt, they can't make it as quick as newer platforms come out. Like Affinity, way faster. You look at Pixelmator Pro, way faster. Photomator, way faster, because they're constantly trying to have that backward compatibility. And there's so many industries that go, this is version X. Once that is finished and we move on to version Y, we don't support. We'll do bug fixes, but there'll be no new features. And if you want to start building, there's an upgrade path or a sort of conversion path, whatever it is, or that's as far as you go with it. I know it's easy to say that, and it's not an ideal scenario for anybody. But at some point, you kind of have to think, we're keeping on building on a foundation that is bad. I was talking to Dave Foy yesterday about WordPress and things. If your foundation is like a house of cards, and your foundation is just 2 cards standing up, and you're just building more and more and more things on top of it, at some point, one of those cards is going to give way and everything is going to collapse. And I think the same thing is going to happen. I think that's probably why there's so many people complaining about bugs and things, because they're so reliant upon third-party plugins to be able to do what many of us would consider to be fundamental things inside a builder, which if you look at Breakdance, I don't use Breakdance, but you look at Breakdance, you look at Bricks, you look at a lot of the sort of more modern ones like Green Shift and so on, they've built with these foundational elements, CSS Grid, Flexbox, all those things are foundational elements. Elementor doesn't have those as foundational elements. Their foundations are on things like, where we had rows and what have you. I can't think of the names of it now. And now they're trying to change that and put it's like where you sort of put a damp course into a house that never had one. It's a lot of remedial work, and it's never going to be the same as when you built the house with it there in place. And I do think, like you say, it would make so much more sense. They say, right, this is as far as we can go with this. We have to, probably in parallel, because they keep touting how they've got different groups doing different things, in parallel, I'd also love to see it done modular. So you say, right, this is the core builder that has all these core foundational things. And if you want dynamic data, you add that in. I mean, a good example of that is Green Shift. They do the same thing. There's the core builder. If you want dynamic data, you add it on. It's an add-on to it. You want to have animation, it's an add-on to it. And it all connects in seamlessly because it's all part of the same product. That, to me, makes a lot more sense. And I've said about the sort of whole modular thing for years. It would just make so much more sense.
Yeah. I like that because some clients don't need certain things. Like we have some clients who just want like a brochure website. Other ones are heavily dynamic driven. Yeah, so it'd be good to turn on and off.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's if you think about it, they're already of that mindset where they're going like, okay, no longer now the base one site license. You don't get dynamic content, you don't get WooCommerce integration, there's other bits and pieces you don't get with it. So they're already of the mindset of, well, if you're paying less, you get less. Well, why not actually make the product more modular so you can do that in a more logical fashion instead of kind of penalizing people now that never were penalized before? Do you know what I mean? With the licensing system set up. Yeah. So I think there's better ways to handle it. I do honestly think that they've kind of gone, or they've gone as far as they can realistically go before they have to start refactoring some parts of it.
I'm secretly hoping that they have been. That's what I'm hoping. Like they have a dedicated team building something new. But You know, we have to get some inside information that I don't have anymore.
The sad thing is, I'm at the point now where I don't really care. Do you know what I mean? It's like I've seen. It's like you can say the grass isn't always greener, but sometimes it is. So when you've moved over to, like for me, it's bricks. Other people, it's breakdance. You know, when you've kind of gone over there and you go back and you realize how limiting Elementor actually is. And I know people sort of go, oh, but it's the best thing since sliced bread, and people are ingrained into it. And that's fair enough. If it does what you want it to do, I'm not slating it, saying it's rubbish or anything. I'm not saying that at all. But for me, there are so many things there that are missing that once you kind of realize how they speed up and make you more productive, that when you go back to it, you kind of think, this is really bad. It's like having I don't know, I'll use a car analogy. You have a car with a 5-speed gearbox or a 6-speed gearbox. When you're going down the motorway at 70 mile an hour, when you're in fifth, your car's screaming because it wants 6 but it doesn't have it, and you're just cruising along in your 6-speed, and it's like, duh, duh, duh. It's the same kind of thing. It's like once you've had that, when you go back, it's kind of like, how can I live without that one extra thing now? Do you know what I mean? And that's kind of how I feel when I go back and have to do anything with Elementor. Oh, and that's killed the conversation. Everyone's just going, hey, look, they're not sponsoring me. Man.
On that segue, check out the new Elementor course. This hasn't been a good promotion,
Definitely.
huh?
Yeah.
You open that can of worms.
But my Elementor course is
told you
all
I was
about
gonna
how you
stir it
can
up.
build your own global class system.
Hey, I like to keep it real though, and even inside the course, when I was doing it, I just kept it real. Even the bugs, there have been bugs inside there. I don't know if you guys encountered that decimal bug. Have you guys come across
Yeah.
that where you put in a decimal and it jumps ahead? It's been there for like years now,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah. I see what you're saying.
yeah, so just keep it real. But yeah, I'm just gonna leave it there.
Hey, look,
You could just say what it is. Like I
I was,
still
I
think
was
it's
about to
one
add
of
some pros, like, hey, yeah, it's,
yeah.
yeah.
I still think it's one of the best builders out there. Like, because I've tried some other ones. Like, I know Paul, you had what's it called, Web Studio. I played around with that. I liked it. If it could just do everything that I need, I would jump ship. But it's not there yet. Like, so I'm always on the lookout for something, of course. But it's the best one out there. It's one of the best. That and Bricks are the two best platforms out there, in my opinion.
I'm not saying
It's
any
got pros
different.
and cons, yeah.
Yeah, like you
Yeah,
say,
it's got pros and cons. It's a lot easier to do stuff in it for sure.
yeah.
That's what I found with it.
Maybe it's because I come from a background of using tools like Dreamweaver. Sort of. I'm used to the more development environment, so I kind of feel comfortable doing that sort of thing. So I didn't feel like there was such a jump going into something like Bricks.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I still think Elementor has a massive place, and yes, there's a reason that millions of people use it. But I also think that once you see a lot of people take the time to explore those other options, and this goes for everything. We're not just talking specifically about, Elementor and other builds, in anything in life, like WordPress versus, like say, like Web Studio, like Webflow, like all the other platforms. There's no perfect solution. There's no one size fits all. But I tend to see, and I don't know if you kind of agree with this, especially in the WordPress space, there seems to be a very blinkered, tribalistic kind of approach to like, I can't look outside this. It's like we say, like I done a video on Web Studio the other day, and it's like a lot of comments are like, oh, show us more. I know, Jeffrey, you've talked about different platforms and stuff you've explored. But you still get people going, oh, but it hasn't got all the plugins. It's like, okay, great. But no one's saying that this is a replacement, a one-to-one replacement for WordPress. But in every project that you do you use 100 plugins? No. You use plugins specific to a project. Well, if you have a project that doesn't require a plugin, or you have a platform that doesn't require those plugins, you wouldn't use additional plugins. It's WordPress is reliant upon those plugins because at its core, it's a foundation. It's a very basic foundation that doesn't have all the CMS functions that a typical CMS would have, like custom post types built in an easy format. Do you know what I mean? So there's this kind of reticence to be, but it doesn't have all these other things. It's like, but you don't use all those things. It's like comparing Word to Notepad. Well, if all you want to do is write a note, does it matter that Word has got 5,000 other features that you're never, ever going to use? Does it just give you comfort knowing that there's 5,000 features there, even though you've got no use for them? So it makes it better than this other thing. And I kind of feel like there's an awful lot of that goes on with page builders, with WordPress compared to other platforms. None of them are perfect. No one's saying you have to stop using this one in favor of that one. But at least be open enough to explore those other things. For when a situation comes along that makes sense to use one of those other things, you know about it and you can make a decision with an informed decision.
Yeah, open is the key. Open-minded. Open-minded is a virtue, and you got to have that. I think, closed-mindedness, that's what's going to hold you back from looking outside the box and exploring and learning.
Yeah. I don't think it does. I don't think it sets you up in the right way. Like I've said before, inside the WordPress side of things, you do your client a disservice if you try to shoehorn them into what you think is a solution because you're comfortable with it. If there's a better solution and you're aware of the solutions, maybe the whole point is that you give them the best product, not the product you're just most comfortable with. It's like WooCommerce, for example. I think WooCommerce is fine for smaller shops. But when you want to have a big shop, I think there's dedicated software out there that's better at having big shops. Mm-hmm. But does it mean that you shouldn't use WooCommerce? No. But it means that you might want to think twice about using it for a project that is bigger, maybe has 10,000 products in it and needs to be incredibly fast and connect up with various different platforms and different services and features and things. Look at the pros and cons and see, right, is this the best for that project? And if not, know what is available for for that project, if that makes any sense.
This is exactly why I say, when people say, well, I'm leaving Elementor, or have asked me, are you leaving? My answer has always been no, I'm just adding to it. And I think it is not a wise move for anybody who has learned Elementor, mastered it, knows it very well, to just abandon it, because it's still a useful tool for many client types. And you also got that expertise, use that expertise. So anybody that says, that just says, oh, something's better, I'm leaving, you got to look at it differently. I'm just adding to it because we build up our toolboxes. That's more value that we could give.
Yeah, I agree. It's to give you an example, the course that I'm kind of planning at the moment, which is fundamentally focused on bricks, but bricks is a tiny part of it. The whole thing is behind WS Forms. So I've been thinking, well, I can do it in a modular fashion, and I know I'll get asked about it with bricks, with Elementor. So do I just add in an Elementor module that says, if you want to integrate it in, then you can do it like this? Would I cut my nose off to spite my face and think that's a stupid way of doing it? No, because there's people out there want to know and they want to use that tool. For me personally, I wouldn't build websites with it right now in the way that it is right now, because I don't want that reliance upon those extra plugins that I have to use to do the things that I like to do. A lot of the dynamic stuff where you've got to use additional plugins to get past those quite serious limitations with repeater regions and those kinds of things. But I wouldn't say, if you don't need those and you're more comfortable inside the Elementor environment, you should carry on using it. I'll joke about it, but I never say to anybody, you should not use Elementor. If you're comfortable with that, like you said, you're skilled in it, you know what you're doing, and it does the job for you, and you're happy with it, carry on using it. If you're making money with it and you've got a business that relies on that, carry on doing it as long as it suits you. But don't be stubborn and blinkered and go, nothing else comes close. It's like there are other tools out there that will be better for certain things. If I want to create a more dynamic website with a lot more data integrations and things, I wouldn't use Elementor. I would use something like Bricks, personally. But if I don't need that, there's nothing wrong with using Elementor. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, I'll joke about it and I'll have a laugh about it. But I wouldn't tell people that they're wrong to choose it. It's up to them. It's a personal choice. Mark, I know you are still a big fan of Elementor. And it's what you built your business around. And right now, that is doing exactly what you wanted to do and needed to do.
The main reason is because of the clients, because we train them on how to update it. I can't get people to update a Bricks website or Gutenberg. There's no way that it just wouldn't be as easy, for the client as well. So, yeah, if the other platforms become a little bit better in certain ways, I'll switch over. But it kind of reminds me of I have a big 3D animation background. It's the same exact thing in 3D animation. Like, I used to use 3D Studio Max, and then you had the Maya people and Blender and all these other different tools. And each one had its own strengths, and some did better than this and that. So it becomes very tribalism in other industries as well.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, it is.
I think that's the beauty of. Yeah.
No, go on.
No, I was going to say that I think that's the beauty of like being in not only WordPress but web design and development and coding and all of these things. There's so many different places where we can jump into, learn our trade, whatever, or use, so that you could answer the same question for a client using different methods, different products. As long as you deliver for the client and you've done it to the best of your ability for them and you, and longevity and all of that. Sometimes that's what matters. But I think that's what's so wonderful, about that's the reason why I still love WordPress. There's so many non-WordPress platforms out there, but I love the way that if Elementor died a death, or Bricks died a death, or Breakdance, or whatever, something went really, really majorly bad, or Matt Mullenweg decided to shut down WordPress, or whatever, what's going on with Gutenberg and all of that. But whatever happens, I mean, we could hopefully we could hopefully transfer a lot of our skills and what we know and how we do things to other platforms if we had to. That's the one good thing I like about it, in that it's not like you learn to do one thing and that's it. If that tool is no longer available, some people kind of struggle. Oh my God, what do I do now? I'm completely stuck. I learned how to use this tool. I can't use anything else anymore. I think we're adaptable. And what's good now, Bricks and all of that. In 5 years' time, there's probably be something else. And I think what Paul said is absolutely right. Even some people that are very passionate about Bricks, some of them might be tunnel visioned as well. It's like being able to adopt or accept that maybe something else might come along. Give it a go. Have a look at it. If you don't like it, fine. But get your fingers dirty a little bit. And if you like it, lick your fingers. If you don't like it, don't get dirty again. You get the idea what I mean, kind of thing,
That was such a terrible way of saying it, fair play.
I know.
You get dirty, lick your fingers.
Like, this is wrong. This is wrong. This
is taking a turn for the verse again. But I think this is something that I think we're all probably of an age where we've come into WordPress from other ways of building websites. So WordPress has been a progression from how we've developed. I don't know, Jeffrey, were you building prior to WordPress, or was it always been WordPress for you?
No, it was custom coded first and then WordPress. No, custom coded, Shopify, then WordPress for me.
So it's been a progression. So if WordPress was superseded by something better, and I think this is the key thing, is if you could become more efficient and be more productive and create a better product, you can't tell me as a business person, and forget about being like a web designer, but as a business person, you wouldn't seriously and realistically look at those opportunities when they come along. Because I think this is the reason probably why you've gone from custom coding to Shopify. For whatever reason, like if Shopify wasn't as extensible as you'd like it to be or whatever, you've then looked, right, what else is around? And then you've learned and you've upskilled. And I think we're all probably in the same position. And like Imran said, in 5 years' time, will Brick still be here? Will Elementor still be here? Who knows? Visual Composer is, and nobody I know uses that. But it's still around, but it's lost market share. And I think that's the natural progression. Everything has a lifespan, and that's not forever. We just need to be realistic that these are tools we use right now, and at some point in the near future, we'll probably be using something else.
Agreed.
It's tech. It's the tech
totally
industry. It evolves so quick. Everything moves so quickly. We got to be always ready to pivot and to keep evolving with it.
Yeah. I think that's something that maybe some of our audience or some of the people, I'm not saying necessarily people that subscribe to us, but people that maybe view our content, that when we cover other things, don't necessarily understand that maybe we look at it from the point of view that we have pivoted in the past, and we are always looking at what is not the next best thing, but what is something we should be keeping our eye on. There are tools out there that are going to be better. They're going to make you more productive, make more money. They're going to make things easier. That's part of that's why I see that. That's part of what my job is to try to keep abreast of those things and inform my audience so they can then make a decision. Is this something they want to look into a bit more in detail themselves, or are they just happy staying where they are? But if nobody ever shows people and tells people these other things are there, the advancement just kind of stops, and adoption kind of slows right the way down. I think, from my point of view, that's what I kind of consider part of what I do is.
Do you know what is the big telling thing that I'm noticing at the moment is AI last 2 years has been exploding, right? With Claude, ChatGPT, Perplexity, all loads of different solutions. You can see people who are web designers and developers who are good at web designing, and they post questions on forums, and you can tell that some of them aren't moving with the times. They've learned how to build websites, but they're not adopting new things. And so many questions I see, I'm literally staring at it and thinking, you could answer that if you went and used a bit of AI to get either to, direct you or help you out. So if a new solution came on that replaced or was better than WordPress or whatever tool we're using, I would have a look at it. And if I felt it made a big difference in terms of efficiency and how I build, and maybe I don't need to now use WooCommerce and all that bloat, I would seriously consider it. But I can see a lot of people who will never move away from something that is better or more efficient because they just don't join the ride, And so, if anyone out there is offended by that, I don't mean it. But honestly, even in the Web Squadron Facebook group, half the time I'm literally taking your question, sticking it into ChatGPT, finding the solution, refining it, and saying, hey, use this, and it works. And I always feel like, why don't people just do that? just use the tools out there. We've got so much to play with now. We're empowered.
Yeah. There's never been a better time.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you've been doing this, Paul, like showing other things in our industry. I don't think it's all about like jumping ship or like, going after the next big bright tool, the fancy, the cool looking tool. It's about staying up to date with the industry, seeing where the industry is going. And I think everybody needs to do that. So I've been really enjoying your take on all that, seeing that. I think it's really important. Another thing I do too is I follow a lot of different creators in different parts outside of WordPress because I want to keep tabs on where are we going. Because, like Imran said, you can get stuck in the old days really easily, and a lot of people are still building websites like they did 5 years ago. And 5 years ago is ancient times to web design. That is back in the days, So things move very quickly. It's important to, keep your eye on the temperature of the web design industry.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so many tools, looking into like Reloom, looking into Web Studio. And one of the things that kind of like always comes up, which is why I sort of think Web Studio has kind of grabbed a little bit of interest on my channel when I put the video up the other day, is because it's open source. Because the number of people that go like, oh, but you don't own your data. You don't own your data. You don't own your data. And that's the big argument about using WordPress, is that you own your data. Not quite sure what data it is you can't get from most other places, but that seems to be one of the key pushbacks. Well, that's exactly what you have with Web Studio. Is basically not up to par with Webflow, but it's similar to Webflow, but you have control over where you want to pull your data from. It's a different model. But I think, I was talking to Dave Foy about this yesterday. I think the problem at the moment we've got with that is you have to have some kind of technical proficiency to be able to connect Web Studio with your data source. It's not as simple as like, because WordPress is already database driven, it's all there. You don't have to do anything more. You now have to go back to those days where, you were using PHP or ASP or something like that, and then you had to create the connection there to your database source inside a tool like Dreamweaver or wherever. You have to understand how that works. And maybe it's not as complex as that, but it's still a hurdle at this point for people that might want to have that expandability and the CMS functionality and a tool like Web Studio. They need to be made much, much simpler, I think, or to have people like any of us to explain it in ways that make it understandable for more layman people that maybe don't have that technical skill of understanding data connections and servers and web hooks and stuff like that.
I found Web Studio like refreshing because I feel like I needed that. I was just comparing what would I lose if I went to it. Like all of the special widgets I had, Elementor or Bricks or whatever, I would lose those widgets. So it felt refreshing though, because I was like, oh, this kind of goes back to you own it. It's clean, really clean code. You put it on your server. There's no hacking plugins or anything. There's a lot of elements that felt good about it. So yeah, I'm open to that in the future, I think. Yeah.
But again, for the right project, it might be the right solution. Yes, like you say, it doesn't have those things that you're used to, that you rely on for certain types of projects. But then if a project come along and you know Web Studio, what it can offer and how it could work, and a client comes along and says, this is what I'm looking for, you can go, that would be a good solution for it, because it takes away all my need to maintain plugins and updates and all those kinds of things, because it's not something you have to handle there. Yeah. Then you could go, now I can make an informed decision for my client to provide them with a solution that's better than WordPress. I don't think WordPress is the right solution for everybody, because there's so much maintenance that goes on with it, and the more of those that you have, the more time and effort you have to put into security updates and all those kinds of things. And if you don't enjoy that, it's time sucking.
Yeah, it's starting to become a lot, like managing I don't know, almost 100 client websites. It's becoming a lot. I'm like, I have to always kind of be on top of what plugins are problems. Like Elementor's got all these bugs now. WordPress, the latest one just came out. I'm like, sometimes it gets old. Like a static website feels so refreshing.
Yeah, I totally agree. But again, like I say, this is where, when you know what's available, you can make a decision. You know, I think when you just have you put the blinkers on, it's like that's what I know, that's what I'm comfortable with. I don't want to deviate. You become, as Jeffrey said, 5 years is an age in web design. You know, look 5 years ago where Elementor was, where Divi was, where any of those page builders like that was, where WordPress itself was. Thankfully, mostly without Gutenberg, but other than that, you know, it's very, very quick. It's like the Moore's law when it comes to technology. You know, when you understand Moore's law, you see how quick technology changes. And it's the same in the web design. And we do need to be keeping up to date. And I think you can, like Imran said, you can definitely see those people that don't keep up to date, don't look at what's the right way to do things, what's the right tools to use, because they're stuck in what they're comfortable with and they don't want to look outside it. But they'll become dinosaurs. And they'll very quickly be superseded by people that are interested in making sure that they can provide good quality products, good quality service with the right tools for the right price for the right client. When you kind of go outside that and you start just self-serving, it's kind of like just shooting yourself in the foot longer term. Mm-hmm. That's my thoughts anyway. I think that's a good point to round it up as well, unless anybody else has got any final thing to say. Tumbleweed moment again.
All good.
I could see it. So an hour and a half. I don't know how people could do how do people do a Joe Rogan podcast where it's like 3 hours? That's a lot.
Joe talks a lot.
I need to get food, man. I don't know about you guys, but I get hungry and stuff, man. Don't.
Yeah, it's almost lunchtime.
Yeah, I don't see it. You know, there's only so much I could do, man.
Right, but before we wrap up, if you've enjoyed the live stream, give it a thumbs up, because it does tell YouTube that you like this kind of content. If you're watching it on catch up, be sure to make sure that you drop some comments underneath with your thoughts and feelings on anything we've covered today. Don't forget that Mark will be uploading this as a podcast in the next couple of days, hopefully, Mark, to put the pressure on. Yep. So if you want to just listen to this, then you can check that out on all major podcasting platforms, I believe. So Imran, before we sort of sign off, anything you'd like to say? How could people find out about your new course, find out about you, what you do, and so on, if you'd like to let people know?
Yeah, just go to and search for Web Squadron on YouTube or learn.websquadron.co.uk and you'll see our new courses. No pressure, but I hope you join in with the fun. Enjoy yourselves.
Cool.
Stay happy.
Exactly. Mark, how can people find out about yourself and Wicky Designs and all the things that you do?
Yeah, just wikidesign.com. Definitely this Friday, I'm doing a live stream going more into depth about different things that SEO companies have been doing over the years and how a lot of these techniques aren't working. I'm going to have more conversations about that because, I got a lot of good information from this podcast. So, definitely tune into that live stream. Yeah.
And Jeffrey, how could people find out about your good self?
Just search Lytbox Academy is spelled Lytbox, and that's it. See me on YouTube, check out the website. A lot of good content and stuff like that and courses. A lot of web design stuff.
And a nice new shiny Elementor course. Nice.
Yes, the Design with Elementor 2.0. It's perfect companion with Imran's Elementor course. Mine is also a web design course as well, so it's sort of a 2-in-1. But I would advise getting both for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I don't have a course to sell right now, but if I did, I would say you need to get it with the trifecta. It would be the perfect opportunity to see exactly what you can do with all these things, but I don't. So, other than that, but if you'd like to get involved in my community, you can find that at WPTutsacademy.com. That's WPTutsacademy.com. Get involved. You can join in for absolutely free, get involved in the conversation, and get involved in live streams and all those kinds of good things. But that's all from us this week. We'll be back probably in about a month's time with a lot of more WordPress waffling, and I'm sure we'll come back with some little nuggets of wisdom. But thanks again, guys, for joining in today. Thanks, everybody, for being part of the stream, and we will all see you again in a couple of weeks' time, and I'm sure everybody will be on their own live streams and things in the next couple of weeks, so check out everybody's channel and subscribe to everybody. Anyway, take care, guys, and thanks very much for joining in.
See ya.
Take care. Bye.